Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Professional Darts Corporation, welcome to the final session of the 2018 Gibraltar Darts Trophy. We get our quarterfinals underway by introducing to the stage a winner on the Pro Tour last year, the Players' Championship Finals runner-up. He's the reigning Austrian Darts Open champion, the Ferret, Johnny Clayton! We now introduce the world #1 and a winner of 24 Euro Tour titles, the newly crowned Premier League and World Cup of Darts champion. He's the two-time champion of the world, mighty Michael van Gerwen!
Well, if tonight's final session of the Gibraltar Darts Trophy hits anything like the extremely high standards that were set this afternoon, then it could be something really special. The third round produced some exceptional scoring with this man, Michael van Gerwen, Rob Cross, Adrian Lewis, James Wade and Peter Wright all averaging well over 100, with Snakebite topping the charts with his 108.82 in his 6-1 defeat of Chris Dobey. Wade and Lewis produced a match worthy of the Premier League or even Ali Pali, in which Wade lost 6-5. And Paul Nicholson and Joe Cullen also served up a Euro Classic, which Nico edged in the decider to secure his first Euro quarter-final in more than 5 years. That's not to mention even the 170 checkout from Gerwyn Price as well, one of 4 players still in the field who is looking for a first European Tour title. But right now, though, our first match of the night, and it features 2 players who've won Euro Tour titles this year. Michael van Gerwen with 4 under his belt, and 24 throughout his career, up against the recent champion in Austria,
First leg,
Johnny
Michael
Clayton.
to throw first. Game on.
Rob Malarkey watching over this one for you, along with a man who is fast running out of superlatives, Chris Murphy. Good evening, Chris.
Well, let's just let the darts do the talking, Rob,
180!
because it might just continue in the trend that you just mentioned. Now, Johnny Clayton took a little bit of a tumble on the walk on there, but if recent history is anything to go by, he won't just fall at the feet of Michael van Gerwen. Speaking of feats, there's one that hasn't been achieved in European Tour darts for 5 years. It happened here. Is Michael van Gerwen about to produce perfection?
Well, I've just been debating about whether tonight's final session would match the extremely high standards of the afternoon. If Michael van Gerwen, I'll leave it there. I will leave it just there. I will say no more.
Well,
that would have woken the baby.
Do you think he's up for this? Racing out of the blocks, MVG.
60.
9 darts thrown in leg 1, 64 left.
Tops for MVG.
24.
Look at the chasm there with Clayton on 376.
He'll come to that Johnny Clayton
96.
record against Michael van Gerwen this year in a moment. They've met 3 times, all of them in quarter-finals.
You show
As
on the first
MVG
leg,
takes the
Michael van
first
Gerwen.
leg. Yeah, 2 of them were in
Johnny to throw first.
consecutive Players' Championships. Michael van Gerwen beating Clayton in the quarter-final on the Saturday. Clayton returning the favour in some style the following day.
140.
111 average in his last 8 victory over the world number 1, his first ever victory over the world number 1. 5 180s, checkouts of 144, 161 and 116 to seal the victory 6-4, having led it 4-0 and 5-1.
Yeah, brutal.
We haven't seen that kind of astronomical stuff from Johnny Clayton in this tournament, but he's been more than good enough to dominate his opponents. He beat Hans Schneer 6-0 and Max Hopp 6-2 en route to this final session. For Van Gerwen, it started against his best mate Vincent van der Voort yesterday, a 6-4 win.
26.
And a 6-2 win against Andy Bolton today. Both of those performances in the averages between 103 and 108. And that's kind of par for the course for MVG, isn't it? That kind of range.
It certainly is.
100.
Our viewers who've been with us for many years will have noticed we've reverted back to the retro graphics for this quarter-final.
Well, it's the
140.
trying to bring about the 9 darter. Now then, 57 out of the way, can't find the 60, so Clayton will have the chance to level up, despite the onslaught from the world number 1 early on.
20 for tops then for, well, he was very, very close to that treble 20 then, but he gets away with it. And not only that, he builds on it as well, placing back on turns at 1 apiece. But yeah, they've had plenty of encounters, these two, over the years. 1 win apiece this year, that stylish victory for Clayton, as you mentioned. They also met, of course, in the Players' Championship final in Minehead at the end of November, which Van Gerwen, well, he sauntered to victory in that one, 11-2. Just the one previous encounter in Europe as well. That was in Austria a couple of years ago, second round match.
100.
And that day, talking of big averages, Michael Van Gerwen averaged almost 110 in a 6-0 win. Won't win 6-0 today.
108.
Johnny joining in the maximum count now in this match.
96.
To try and get something going, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility that he could snatch this leg. He'll need to find a treble to get himself down to a finish.
60.
And he hasn't managed to do that. So, bullseye. Now then, treble 20.
Yeah, he's just checking where Clayton is. He is on a bogey number, so Van Gerwen,
105.
well, he's left himself double 10.
Michael, you required 20.
Double 10 it is then for the world number 1 to regain the lead, which he does without any dramas.
Johnny to throw first. Game on.
But he will know that Johnny Clayton is something of a pest and will want to put him to bed in double quick time.
60.
Well, Clayton knows he can't afford too many sluggish visits like that without a treble, because Van Gerwen will pounce.
99.
Van Gerwen just rubbing his arm there just a little bit, maybe just feeling a little bit of tension early on in this evening's session.
Of course, the world number 1 has been for some time now, Michael Van Gerwen. We've got the world's top 3 in action this evening. Rob Cross coming up next, Peter Wright, the world number 2 later on. Wright against Lewis, jumps off the page, doesn't it?
Yeah, and just to reiterate the point that the order of play this evening, the schedule of play this evening follows the draw bracket, so whoever comes through this one will face the winner of match 2 between Cross and Steve West, and then likewise in the bottom half of the draw, the winner of match 3 and 4 come together in the semi-finals as well.
98.
Yes. Gerwin Price against Paul Nicholson, the 3rd game of the evening session. Nicholson back in the business end of a PDC tournament.
135.
First time in 5 years. Now MVG looking for a break here. 54. Couldn't find it, but Johnny Clayton 56. Might have to take out one of those big finishers.
Johnny, you require 146.
Not going to do that.
130. Michael requires 68.
Only one dart double for Michael Van Gerwen, but this for a break.
48. Johnny requires 16.
A let-off for the Welshman.
Still needs to find this double 8, and he does, and on we go at 2 apiece. Johnny Clayton holding his own at the moment and staying toe-to-toe with the world at number one. Just to illustrate or provide some illustration of the European Order of Merit at the halfway stage as we are in the European calendar, this being the 7th Euro Tour event of 13 this year. Michael van Gerwen currently £71,000 clear of the field at the top of that European merit listing. So theoretically, he could find himself £96,000 clear because Max Hopp isn't involved anymore, although he's picked up a few grand. So it will just be under
55.
£96,000 if you get the drift.
Yeah, Clayton, Hopp and Van Gerwen, incidentally, the only 3 players to have won European Tour titles this year, and all ended up in that same quarter of the draw. Michael van Gerwen will be going for the bullseye if he finds a couple of treble 20s here, despite the fact his opponent's not on a finish, because he loves to entertain and he wants to match what Price did earlier on.
145.
He couldn't quite manage it.
So yeah, I'll quickly correct myself. £93,000 potentially the gap this evening, with Max Hopp having picked up £3,000 earlier. He's in second place as things stand.
121, Michael, you've got 25.
Yep, as it has been for the last couple of years, as Van Gerwen looks at double 8s and can't
17.
find it. A chance here for Johnny Clayton, who's just clung
on
on
100.
to Michael van Gerwen's coattails here. Is it 2 at tops?
It is.
Oh, he's found 1.
80.
Couldn't find the second.
Michael, you require 8.
Well, this is a strange situation because there's almost 20
He's on
points
the fifth leg.
between them
Michael
in
van
the
Gerwen.
averages, and yet Johnny Clayton was
Fifth
close
leg,
to
Johnny
breaking
to
there for a
Roper.
3-2 lead.
Yeah.
Such is the anomaly of this match.
Sometimes goes that way. Yeah, I was just going to say that as it's been for the last couple of years, the European Championship field
60.
is made up entirely of the Order of Merit for the European Tour events. Effectively, European Tour finals, isn't it?
140.
Top 32 advancing to the finals, which this year will be held in Dortmund. A change of venue.
96.
Michael van Gerwen is now qualified for that, what, about 6 times over already?
Yeah, £15,000 would be
93.
probably just about enough to get in at the lower end of the run.
Well, you just feel that Clayton is clinging on in this match. As you said, he missed the opportunity there, missed the dart to break, but Michael van Gerwen
91.
being ahead in each and every leg. Clayton having to take his chances.
137.
But again, with that last dart, he gives himself a chance.
95. Johnny, you require 148.
Well, he's done really well with the first 2.
120.
Shame about the last dart. Really good
Michael,
attempt
you've
that by
got
Johnny
82.
Clayton.
But there we see needing a big check out just to hold on to his throw. And now Michael van Gerwen looking
Yves Jean, sixth leg.
steam
Michael
ahead
van
and
Gerwen.
storm in front. And the world #1 gets a break of throw.
Seventh leg,
If he
Michael to
continues
throw first.
Playing like
Game
this, it's a long, long way back for Johnny Clayton.
Yeah, I mean, Michael van Gerwen is so good at doing that. Players who, as we said, Johnny Clayton well adrift in
140.
terms of the scoring, but just about doing enough to cling on. And as you say, needing big checkouts just to keep himself alive and keep himself going. Had that brave attempt at 148,
100.
didn't work out for him. And van Gerwen just steams in with a bullseye and double 16 to mop it up.
Well, look, one dart missed at double top for 100
134.
checkout, one missed at double 14 for 148. The scoreline could the other way around.
140.
Michael van Gerwen once again averaging over 100 at the moment. He averaged over 100 in each of his first 2 matches this weekend. It's on a par with what he was doing
99.
in Sindelfingen.
Yeah, looking more like Zindelfingen than Zwolle, isn't it? Where
Certainly.
Michael van Gerwen couldn't manage 100 average, but still went on to win the tournament.
Yeah. Wins tournaments
45.
even when he's not
Michael
scoring heavily.
128.
Arguably the greatest player, or the best player we've ever seen, Michael van Gerwen.
56.
Well, he went for treble 16 to lead tops, but he's left himself 72 instead. He didn't like that, obviously, given the reaction that and the standards that he set.
60. Michael requires 72.
Johnny Clayton once again has left a big finish here if he gets the opportunity.
Well, this shot won Michael Van Gerwen his very first world
He was
title,
on
and
the
he did it
seventh
that
flag,
way.
Michael Van Gerwen. Even like Johnny to throw first.
Reminiscent.
Game on.
Of that final against Peter Wright at Alexandra Palace, that will be one that he remembers when he goes for such a check-out.
100.
And Johnny Clayton, well, he's going to have to produce something extra special to overturn this deficit, because Michael Van Gerwen
57.
is looking $1 million once again.
I think Michael Van Gerwen would like that perfection of having that
66.
sequence of ton plus averages. He's just below it. He won't be aware of that right now. He knows he'll be there or thereabouts.
57.
Well, it's something he was certainly very proud of at the European Darts Grand Prix. And Johnny Clayton, yeah, he's produced his
41.
worst performance of the weekend so far. But as we said, for a couple of missed doubles, it could have been a
99.
very different story.
Such are the fine margins, especially in a first to sixth format.
140.
Steve West and Rob Cross waiting in the wings.
And it looks like it'll be the first to seven
121
format for Michael Van
Johnny
Gerwen, because he's
154.
on course for the semi-finals here, down to 167. Clayton again needs a big number, but can't make an impact with his first dart, or indeed his second.
Michael Van Gerwen looking at Johnny Clayton in disgust. What are you doing, pal? You're much better than this. Remember that time you averaged 111 and beat me? It's not often that Michael Van Gerwen loses to the same player twice on the
92.
spin, is it? And I get
Johnny
a feeling
Record,
that there's revenge
128.
in the mind of the world number one.
Yeah, just looking to exact some revenge, and once again Johnny Clayton's loosed first dart is his downfall here.
88. Michael
Well,
about 75.
Might be it for the Ferrets in Gibraltar. And Michael Van
And the
Gerwen
match.
is safely
Michael Van
through to
Gerwen.
the semi-finals. Johnny Clayton failed to get going in that quarter-final, but another good run for him. We'll see him again in Denmark. Michael Van Gerwen still has business to take care of here in Gibraltar. He's through to the last four and will take on either Steve West, looking to reach his first European Tour semi-final, or the world champion Rob Cross in a repeat of that World Championship semi-final. Michael Van Gerwen, the first man through, and still the strong favourite to take the crown. We're going to catch a quick word with the world number one, talking to Dan Dawson, and then we will be back with more action as Rob Cross takes on Steve West.
Michael, congratulations. A 25th Euro Tour title very much in sight right now.
Yeah, but I need to play a little bit better, because I think I made too many mistakes in this game, and has to be better. I didn't feel really well, so maybe because of the long break I had. But now I'm going back to the practice ball, make sure I'm sharp later on, because I have to do. I need to make sure I get back in my focus and my rim.
We don't know who you're facing yet. We don't know who you might face in the final should you get there. But there are a lot of players who are coming back into form. And Adrian Lewis, who's been a rival of yours for a long while, is playing some really good stuff again, isn't he?
Yeah, for him it's nice to be back on stage, I think. It's been a long time for him. So.
You and Adrian have had some great battles. You seem to bring the best out of each other.
Yeah, we always have great battles, but I think there's a long way to go before I can play Adrian Lewis. I think the next one is going to be Steve West or Rob Cross. It's going to be a tough one, simple as that. And you need to make sure you get your focus for every game, and you can't take anyone for granted, because they're all good players, otherwise they won't be here.
Certainly have. Got a phenomenal evening session for you. It started with the world number one, Michael Van Gerwen, winning his quarter-final. He will take on the winner of our next match. It is the world champion, Rob Cross, and simply the West, Steve West.